Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Babylon 5 Retrospective. No Surrender, No Retreat, Season 4. This week on the program, we're talking about Episode 11, Lines of Communication. All right. But before we get into that, let me welcome my co-host, the man who would never ally with the shadows. It's Cam. Say hello, Cam.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, everyone. Let's say a quick hello to everyone in the chat before we get started. Dutch Gradient, yes, it does begin. It begins. Welcome. Hello, Keith Studley. He says hello to Cam. I guess I'm chopped liver. Oh well. And who else do we have? Robert's in the chat. Hey, welcome. Those are all the people. It says we got 6 watching.
Yeah, they're getting the good seats.
Everyone else is hiding. That's okay. You can hide. You don't have to shut yourself out. Let's get right into it, I guess. Let's bring in our. Of course, Q2 is in the chat as well. Of course, welcome, Q2. This is getting. I'm clicking on stuff and it's really slow tonight. I don't know what's going on. A little bit slow, at least on my end. So just be patient if things get messed up. All right, let's bring in our panelists for tonight. We have, of course, our regular co-panelist, Death Angel Shadow.
Hello.
And
Steven.
And our guest, Jeff. And our guest panelist tonight from across the pond, it's Dean. Welcome, Dean.
Why, hello there.
Hello,
Good
everybody.
evening.
Hello. Okay. So before we get into, we normally we do trivia and then we get right into the show. But before we go into trivia, it's a bit of a special day this week. I think. When was it? I'm not sure the exact date.
Was it Tuesday?
I think it was Tuesday.
Yeah,
was it Tuesday? Like yesterday? You mean?
Monday or Tuesday? Yeah.
Monday or Tuesday. It's we have a person's birthday. Happy birthday, Claudia Christian.
Happy birthday.
Babylon
Happy
5.
birthday.
Babylon 5.
We would sing, but we might get demonetized for that.
Oh, we would.
Yeah.
Someone owns the copyright to it, don't they?
Yeah.
Don't do that. Is that? I mean, the inset picture is obviously from the show. Is that she looks pretty good in that bigger picture? Like she's a lot. It's been 30 years. She looks pretty good there.
I saw something with her in it. She still doesn't look too terribly bad.
It's good. Like it's 30 years older.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. First, just you guys talk amongst yourselves. I'm just going to mute myself. I got to take 5 minutes here. I'm just going to do a little Googling. I'll be right back.
Oh, he's going to Google.
I'm just kidding. I'm just
like.
Yeah.
Now, don't look for that one.
She looks in great. She looks in great shape for if that's how accurate that picture is. I'm not sure.
I'm offended by this discussion.
Yeah, current photo.
Q says
current
that's a Q put this together for us. He says that's a current photo. Wow, she's looking great for her age. 30 years on.
Yeah.
Wow, awesome.
How old is she now?
30 years older than when she was before. Some women age really well.
So am I.
That doesn't look like she's got like a lot of work done or anything.
30 years ago, I was in my 20s still. So, I don't think she was. Right? She was probably about 30. So she's probably going on 60.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah.
Potentially, yeah.
But you are right. If you don't have a lot of work done, you age more gracefully. And
not always, but
not always. But
have you seen Madonna? I mean,
you're not gonna. If you have a lot of work done, you're not gonna age. That's true.
It's guaranteed to go one way. Yeah,
guaranteed. But if you don't, sometimes.
Yeah.
Some people age. So good for her. I'm
and we would love to get her on the show, man. We are.
Yes, Claudia, if you're listening,
there go the odds now.
If you're listening, no. I promise I will keep my tongue in my mouth. Will not hit the we would love to talk to you about your time on the show, especially about the character and everything.
Yeah,
because Ivana is a kind of an interesting character. Like we kind of were not too happy at the beginning of the show, but she's gotten better, and it's not really her fault. I think it's the writing.
The writing's gotten better.
JMS didn't.
I mean, there's been some.
It's gotten better.
Some off episodes, but
but they didn't focus on her enough, which was kind of
and
she is kind of the number 3 person, 2-3. I mean, she's pretty important.
Yeah, she was kind of one of the replacements early on, but she's been here longer than Sheridan.
Yeah.
I see Sheridan Delin, Ivanova, and Garibaldi is kind of the top four, right? And then Franklin sort of not.
You're talking of the Babylon 5 crew, not of, because obviously Peter and Elondo and Jakar, and then of course to a lesser degree Linear and
yes,
yeah, Veer. Yeah. Where's Veer? Where's Veer hiding?
He's disappeared off again.
He's always
all right
somewhere.
Let's go into trivia so we can get started right away. Well, and happy birthday, Claudia. Yeah. All right. Okay, trivia from last week. Of course, our questions, Racing Mars. What do the fake ID cards say Marcus and Franklin are on Mars for?
Their
who gets
honeymoon.
punched in this episode? Who gets punched? What is the name of Captain Jack's daughter? That's
I don't remember that.
What is the ritual Sheridan and Delin do in the episode called? And we want the Minbari name, not the
creepy
Earth
voyeurism type thing.
Yeah, the Earth one is called Bound Chicka Wow Wow. And what game is played that drives Franklin crazy? Of course, the answers.
It's called Yahoo.
They're on their Marcus and Franklin are on their honeymoon, of course. Now it's funny because 30 years ago that would be a big joke and everybody be laughing, but nowadays you put that on a TV show, people would be like, yeah,
cringe.
So like, and of course Sheridan gets punched in the face by Garibaldi. Alicia is her name. Is Captain Jack's daughter, and it was spelled with when I saw it was spelled with an E, not an E. So, Shan Fall is the ritual that Delin and Sheridan engage in, and of course, the game they play that drives Franklin crazy is I Spy. Everyone loves that game. Come on,
with my little eye.
Yeah. Okay, Cam, do you want to go ahead with our our quick
recap,
our quick summary, and I'll go in detail, try to get it nice and quick, and we'll get on with the show.
Yes, episode 77, or season 4, episode 11, Lines of Communication, written by J. Michael Straczynski, original air date April 28th, 1997, and production code 411. Franklin and Marcus attempt to persuade the Mars Resistance to assist Sheridan in opposing President Clark. Delenn learns of the Drakh and the increasing caste tensions on Minbar.
All right. Yeah. All right. Yes. Welcome, everybody. Looks like we got 7. It says we got 7 watching. Like and subscribe. We appreciate that if you can. All right. Let's get into it. Okay. So first, the episode starts off a little bit more like sort of 4 little parts before the opening credits. Sheridan is watching the ISN propaganda and getting angry. Franklin is on Mars, waiting for this, talking about this. He's on Mars, and he sends a
one-way transmission
communication to Ivanova and to Babylon 5, which Ivanova and Sheridan see. We cut to Mars and we see number 1, the head of the resistance, the girl with the blonde hair. She says that they're losing and they're only like a few months away. And then Marcus runs in and says, hey, there was a bombing at some security checkpoint or something, and 10 civilians were killed. Dun, dun, dun. We cut to the Minbari, and we find out that there's a bunch of smaller worlds. Delin is finding out that a bunch of smaller worlds that are under Minbari protection have been attacked by some ships, unknown ships, and there is also problems on Minbar and potential for a civil war. And then we have the intro. There's sort of, I put down that there was sort of 3 things going on here. There's the Mars situation, the Delin, Minbar, and the Drakh situation. And of course, Sheridan's got a couple other things on the side that's going on. I'm going to go through those first. So Sheridan, he gets an idea in the middle of the night, goes and wakes up Ivanova, makes her get up and brings her out into the war room. He says, hey, we're going to set something up to counter the propaganda. It's obviously a studio of some type. And of course, at the end of the episode, after I'll leave that to the end. Okay, so let's do the Mars stuff real quick. Number 1 is angry at the person who made the bombing. She calls him down. Frank then when all the The rebel leaders arrive. Franklin gives a speech, gives some instructions as to what Sheridan wanted to pass on, which we'll talk about. I'll just skip over that. We'll talk about that. The resistance eventually support. They go away and say yeah, and they come back. Most of the leaders support Sheridan. They're online. Franklin gets a date with number one, and Marcus gets to go on guard duty. The main thing that goes on is the Delin Mimbari Drac thing. The White Star Raiders. There's the White Delin decides to take a bunch of the White Stars and attack these raiders. Sheridan's a little bit doesn't want her to go, but she goes anyway. We have a Mimbari named Pharrell, and he is there advising Delin and telling him what's going on. They go to the location of where these attacks are going on. There's a Pakmara ship under attack. It loses, I assume it blows up because they lose contact with it. They then confront these ships, speak to them. They seem to know, they know Mimbari somehow. They say that they're the Drac. One of them comes over as an emissary. They talk about stuff. I missed Pharrell. He actually pulls a gun on or some sort of weapon on Delin and forces her to listen to these guys. They come over. He explains that they're good allies to have. There's problems on Mimbar. The warrior caste is not is doing their own thing, and they supposedly let a bunch of Mimbari die by not sharing their resources. This Drac comes over and boards. They talk. She tells them that they're going to, give me 7 days. We'll meet back here, and I'll give you my answer if we're going to ally or not. And then somebody says her name, and the Drac looks at her. It looks kind of funny, and then he leaves. And right away, Delin says, "Hey, I know these guys. They're from Zaha Doom. They are agents of the Shadow. They know who I am. They're going to attack us right away as soon as they get back because they don't like me." And sure enough, they attempt to sort of trick them, the Mimbari, and because they can't escape, and say, but then they attack with their special maneuver, the skin dancing, I guess. There's some fight. There's a bit of fire exchange. One of the White Stars is destroyed, but the Mimbari escape, and they turn around and again an attack. Anyway. And they blow up this the mothership on the when they return an attack, and that's the rest of the Drac leave, and the Mimbari return to Babylon 5. At the very end of the episode, we have Delin talking to Sheridan, basically saying, "Hey, I got stuff to do on Mimbar. I got to deal with this problem. I'm going to go there." And we, of course, have the final part of the episode is Marcus playing with his stick again. And
Cam's favorite part.
And the favorite part we hear someone, it's number one. He's on guard duty, playing with his stick. And, of course, we hear number one say, "Oh, Stephen," in a very sexual sort of way. Okay, so that is the episode in a very quick, slightly more detailed version about what happens. And Cam, take it. I'll turn it over to you, and we'll carry on.
Okay, I'm going to say that the A plot is the Delin storyline. The B plot is Mars, and then the C plot is the Voice of the Resistance. Why don't we start out with the Voice of the Resistance stuff with Sheridan and Ivanov. Actually, it starts out chronologically that with Sheridan watching ISN. Yes. Jeff, why don't you take the lead on this one and tell us what you think about this storyline? What grabbed you? What didn't? What you wish you could have seen?
First of all, he's getting pissed off again at the TV, and she's asking him why he doesn't. Why do you watch this stuff and blah blah blah. And then she goes away, and he does hear something that kind of triggers him into kind of an aha moment. It was almost too obvious. why they weren't planning this to begin with. At any rate, so he goes in the middle of the night and wakes Ivanova up and says, "Come on, get I know what to do. I know what we're gonna do. Come on, let's go." And she's just got her nightgown on. She's like, "God, can I ever get some sleep?" Right? Drags her. She's like, "You mind if I get dressed?" Oh, I had noticed, and of course there had to be that quirky line where she's like, "What am I? Was it Flarn? I think is what she said.
Chopped flan, I
Chopped
think she
Flarn.
said.
Yeah. What am I? Chopped
Instead of it being
Flarn?
chopped liver.
I mean, I know you and I aren't attracted to one another, but seriously,
I don't-
which I guess it was okay, kind of a light humor moment. But of course she goes in there and he's presenting this whole plan. What we're gonna do is set up, voice of the resistance. So, he's basically turning the war room into a broadcast center, where they can, because he says, well, the truth, you know, you can't hide the truth. Well, you can, but it always comes back to bite you.
You can't kill the truth.
Can't kill the truth, but it
but
always
you can, but it comes back to haunt you. Yeah.
So, I don't know. I like the idea, the premise behind it. I don't know why the hell they didn't do this sooner. They already were doing it. Why the hell were they not trying to do this? The whole time. What do you think? What do you think, Dean? I don't know.
I'm just loving hearing you flounder there. I think it's fantastic. But you're right. You raise a great point, which is, why weren't they doing this right from the start? Why weren't they countering the propaganda from Earth? And instead, you got Sheridan just getting more and more annoyed. And we've all been there. We've booted up our favorite social media platform. All the bad news kind of hits you in the face, and you're in a bad mood for the rest of the day. And it's in life before social media and before the internet, and it was so much simpler. You could just broadcast and you'd get in front of people, and the whole idea of setting up the voice of the resistance, again, it's just calling upon, and we've seen this time and time again, the analogies back to World War II and what was done there.
Yeah.
I think the way they kind of got around to doing it was a little bit awkward, but at the same time, I guess Sheridan's had his mind elsewhere, and now he's beginning to look at what ISN's doing, the broadcasts. And the one thing I note is, there's that very British accent with the presenter, the very, the similarities to how the BBC presents themselves. Is uncanny, and I do wonder whether JMS kind of leaned into how we do things in Britain, how the BBC kind of presents itself, and how it reports the news. Because even back then, the BBC was really biased in a lot of the ways it reported. But that said, those analogies apart, repurposing the war room, fantastic. The painting of Babylon 5 across the galaxy map, I think, is absolutely genius, because it's like someone, they got this young kid and said, look, we need to make this look less, warry and more sort of, friendly. And they get their can out and they go spray Babylon 5 across the back wall. And it's the way the colors work and stuff like that, and the way it's done. It's not super detailed. It feels like someone's pretty much done an art project on the back wall. So for getting to the voice of the resistance, I think it's a perfect vehicle. The awkwardness of waking Ivanova up, do you know what? They pop in these scenes here and there, and it works against the episode, in my opinion.
Do you think they just did it because they're trying to show the sexy side of Ivanova? Is it a 90s thing, maybe?
I don't know, but Ivanova didn't have a great deal to do in this episode, so it might have just been a scene to give her a bit more screen time.
She was in a fully covered robe. There was no sexiness there. I was going to ask you guys about this. I guess the point of, you're right, Dean, there was no reason whatsoever for him to wake her up in the middle of the night, and even less to drag her out there. She knows what the war room looks like. If it's like, oh, look, I've converted it into a studio and it was done or something like that, then maybe that would be something, he couldn't wait to show her.
And we see that later on towards the end of the episode,
right.
with Delenn, but and we'll talk about that then. But it was kind of like, why not let her sleep? Why I don't.
Yeah.
Well, so do you think that they're just? I mean, it seems like I don't
He's
think it's
very
a problem.
ADD.
They're trying to have an interaction scene with Ivanova and Sheridan, which
Mm.
I don't mind, but I'm not sure it's going anywhere. I like their relationship actually. And they kind of said it overtly here. It's like it's professional, right? And friendly,
Yeah.
both. They have a good understanding of each other and they work well together.
Yeah.
And so I don't mind that being reinforced, but it just seems like there could have been a way better, tell us something more about this, show us something that is meaningful. And it wasn't, in my opinion.
Yeah, Keith points out that getting wound up like a cheap watch, which is something that she says to him, you're just getting wound up like a cheap watch.
Yeah.
And then she said something else, later on, besides the chop flarn thing, and it's just kind of like, okay, so they've got, she said, if you weren't my commanding officer, I'd shoot you, kind of mumbling to herself, but
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, I get their relationship. It's not bad. But the whole waking her up in the middle of the night for this was kind of pointless.
Yeah. It's not what you. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dean.
I was about to say that whole scene would have worked better if he had been there getting angry that night and she came in to say, "Come on, Captain, you need to get some sleep." Looked at what he was looking. Yeah, this is really still winding you up, and then said something off the cuff like, "If only there's some way we could counter it." And at that point, he goes, "You got it." And that would have been a better scene to transition to the voice of the resistance instead of him having this epiphany all by himself and then waking Ivana up in this very awkward, why did they do it kind of scene.
Yeah, well, there was even the point where he said, well, you were doing this during the Shadow War.
Exactly.
And she's like, yeah, and I hated it. But you were good at it. And
you're going to be doing it again.
You volunteering me? I accept your offer. It's like, that was kind of goofy.
It was, but that I don't mind. That's a kind of banter back and forth. But where they're trying to inject this kind of sexual tension, and it's done a couple of times throughout this episode, and we're going to get on to the other ones when we cover Mars. But it just feels tiresome. Yeah.
Do you think that was what they were trying to do, was inject sexual tension there?
I think so. Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that.
Because he didn't even notice her. He was like, he didn't notice that she wasn't dressed. It was like.
Snap. What do you think about this scene?
Yeah, I don't mind him coming there all excited because it really shows he's got this great idea. But it's pretty obvious that she could have just said, "Okay, can we talk about this in the morning? I mean, nothing's going to happen between now and then. Why not just thanks for waking me up, go in the morning." And I did find the whole you don't like me like that and me don't like you like that. That was kind of cringe. We don't have to put that out. We understand. We can tell what their relationship is. You don't have to throw it in our face. We know. I mean, it was just I would have taken that whole dialogue out. The other stuff that when they're actually in the location and the back and forth banter, that's perfectly good. But I agree with Dean. This, we don't need this sexual tension between them. We all know that they don't have a thing for each other. Sheridan all over Delin like a puppy dog. I mean, he's almost. We're going to talk about that in a bit. He's almost over the top there. I'm like, I want to go there and smack him in the face and say, "Hey, come on. Be a man." But
pour some cold water on him.
Yeah, be a man. Relax.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't mind the interaction overall, but I think it could have been done better. And Dean, kind of set it up. That would have been just as good. Would have taken less time out of the episode and would have got what you wanted out of it as well.
Yeah.
I do feel that they put the scene in though to show doors working properly on Babylon 5 for once.
Is that the whole purpose of it?
The whole purpose was to have that, the ringing of the doorbell and the door not opening.
Yeah. Oh my God! There's a doorbell. And
I do think there's some sort of like they put her. She's in sleepwear right now. It's not very revealing at all. It's very much. I mean, that's what a normal woman wears, to sleep if they want to feel good, but they don't. But they're not. They don't want anything else. But I probably think that's the reason they put it in there. They want to get Ivanova in there a little bit. But it's season 4, so she probably put her foot down and said, "No, I'm not going to wear some skimpy thing that you want me to wear."
Should have been in a t-shirt, and sweats.
I'm not going to wear something that makes me look like a whore just because you want it. So this is it's probably a compromise.
I don't know. I don't think they've ever really done that with her, have they?
Well, I think it's the 90s. This is the same thing that, that Star Trek does every once in a while, that all these shows do. Hey, let's put our very attractive looking cast actress in something that's a little bit more risque, just to try to boost the ratings a little bit,
They did the same thing with Garibaldi, showing his bare chest.
Yeah, we all
hairy chest,
All right, on that note, we'll move on to the Mars discussion.
Wait, no, come on. Let's talk more about Garibaldi's hairy chest, please, Cam.
Not in this episode. Okay.
He's not even in this episode.
No, he's not. No.
So Mars, they have the whole setup, where the explosion happens, and number one is pissed off, and as they're trying to get a meeting together, right? Dean, let's go with you for this riveting storyline here.
Yeah, the news of the bombing. So midway through the conversation, news of this bombing. So number one, I think she's just called number one. Very imaginative, given that you had the one and the one. It feels you're beginning to see repeating patterns within the script at this point. But number one, the leader of the resistance on Mars. I think the bomber was called Philippe.
Yeah.
Philippe. And she gives him a dressing down, which is awkwardly done. She's not... I don't know what it is. You get some female actresses who really portray confidence when they deliver lines like this, but I didn't get that from her. Ivanova could have delivered this and actually meant it, but she just felt... I don't know. I didn't believe she had the authority, or she had the power or the confidence when looking at this scene. And it just came across as a really awkward scene, dressing down the bomber, telling him he shouldn't be doing this. And then the one thing I picked up on, and again, it's small things like this that are beginning to irritate me with this season. But Philippe says, is this how you treat your former lovers? And, you're beginning to sense, okay, she gets about a bit then. And there's small lines like this that come in, and it all kind of spoils the scene, and it takes me out of the moment. And her dressing down the bomber was just one of those where I've got my head in my hands, and I'm just, let's move on.
Well, it kind of validates the complaints about sexist kind of portrayals a little bit, doesn't it? I mean, I guess it's not. Probably in the 90s, it was meant to be empowering, right? It's like, oh, this woman is the one that's in charge, and she can, dismiss her relationship, whatever, and doesn't let that override her. But it just seems so
forced.
Weird. Yeah, it does. I don't know.
It does. And then where the episode ends with her and Franklin, you're now beginning to, they're painting a picture of number one being the Mars bike or something. It's just, I think it does a lot of disservice to the character. And
it wasn't the dialogue. I mean, other than the 10 seconds bit, which you didn't mention, but where she says, all it would have taken is a call.
Yeah, 10 seconds. But I saw the officials arrive. We had to act.
Yeah. It's like 10 seconds would have been, and I would, but that dialogue was fine. Is this how you treat all your former lovers? That was pointless. It was just like, I think it was just foreshadowing for what was going to happen with.
Yeah. Snob actually has a point. Let's go.
I actually disagree, because I think that, I don't disagree with the overall general premise of this. Kind of takes away from the character, but the fact that the speech is delivered forcefully, but not really, we don't believe it. Ivanova could have delivered that way better.
Yeah.
And then we find out that she uses her, her sexuality to get these guys to do what she wants. She did it to Philippe. She's doing it probably to Franklin again. Then it actually reinforces it to me. It's sort of like, oh, okay, so she's really not that forceful. She's really not that good of a leader. She just uses her feminine wiles to manipulate these guys.
No,
that kind of actually fits.
I don't think that's what was portrayed, though. Do you think that's what was portrayed? She didn't need anything. She didn't need anything from them. She didn't use it to persuade them.
Yeah,
Well,
I didn't
but
pick up
maybe,
on that.
well,
As being a
but maybe that's
persuasion.
the reason she is the leader of the resistance, as opposed to because she's
Eh.
not, Dean is saying she's not that forceful. So how come she's
Yeah.
the boss?
I think you're
Because she
reading a lot
uses
in
her.
there.
Well,
I mean,
I'm reading a bit in there, but I'm saying that's how it looks when you first of all you make her give this forceful speech, which isn't very well delivered, and then we find out that she's having sex willy nilly with whoever that and Franklin is now the new he's Sheridan's man from coming from there. So I'm thinking, oh, this is how she uses to cement alliances. She uses sexuality to do that. And if Sheridan was there, she'd be all over him instead. So it kind of fits. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying I like it. I'm saying that it's further in the fact that she and Philippe and also Franklin, it reinforces the fact that no, she's not a great leader.
Okay, so that's your takeaway. That's fair, right? But I don't think that was the intention at all. I think in I'm guessing in JMS's mind, he's like, oh, look at how empowering this is. This is a powerful woman. She's in charge, and she's the one who decides on these. They come to her. She's the leader. She's the powerful. It's a role reversal thing. Is my guess is what he was going for. You seem to be saying no, that didn't work.
But it doesn't. Yeah, no, I agree. Cam. That's what he wanted to do with it. But I'm saying that it doesn't look that way when you look at it.
The actress didn't deliver it. Didn't sell it. It came off.
You know what? I'm sorry.
After her speech to Philippe, in my mind, I was like, why is Philippe listening to her? Why is he doing what she says? Like, what authority does she have? She doesn't seem to know what she's, why are why does he follow her and listen to her and do what she says?
She's the leader. She's the acknowledged leader.
Yeah, and this
is her territory.
Yeah,
because she made that point that he was a guest, right? He's from Earth, exactly.
Yeah, Donovan is his sort of leader, but he's on Earth, and she's got charge.
Yeah. But
why would anyone on Mars listen to her? Why does this is not? It's not like the army where this guy's got. This guy's been appointed as your boss, so you got to listen to him, or you'll be shot. Like this is the resistance. There's no real. It's force of personality.
No wonder they've lost all this territory.
Okay, I think that this is established. You guys are kind of putting it. Well, I think what I'm hearing is you're putting it on the actress a little bit here. I think this is one of these speeches that it's difficult for anybody to give. It's and JMS is a great writer on overall things, but Sheridan's had these kinds of speeches. I'm like, oh geez, come on. This just seems really, like when he came back from Zahadum, that was a terrible speech. It just was like, and I think this is another instance of that, I don't know. I'm not saying, oh yeah, this is the best, she did a great job or anything. I think she tried to work with the material there was, is the way I get it. But, this whole point that, why is anybody the leader of anything? I mean, it is. And I think this was supposed to be displaying that because she is very clearly saying, I'm going to rip your head off or whatever her words were. And there was no doubt in that in the actual portrayed events. It was like, okay, all right, you're in charge. I get it. The guy didn't challenge her, meaning the story functionally established that she does have that authority. That's what I got. I'm not saying it was well portrayed, but it's what the story seemed clearly to be intending.
It needed some polish, and it needed some better direction on.
Yeah, but
the dialogue
convinced me though.
Yeah.
Right. If it didn't work for you, that's perfectly.
And I'm not saying, and I'm not blaming her. I'm saying she didn't deliver it as well. But I agree, the writing isn't, perfect.
Yeah, either. I think it's both sides. The dialogue needed some polish, and she probably needed some direction, and didn't get that direction.
Yeah, I agree. However, I have come around to Snob's way of thinking on this. And that's but it makes perfect sense. She slept her way to the top. And she's discarded anybody who's given her a leg up. And this is common. It's portrayed in a lot. I'd never thought of it that way. And maybe that's secretly why they put that line in. And that's the kind of portrayal. And that's why she then, gets Franklin. Because it's the next step up to,
it kind of undermines the character. So you're saying it undermines the character?
Oh, it definitely undermines the character. But then
why does she go for Marcus?
Because Marcus is a guard. Franklin is the one
exactly.
delivering the message.
He is lower status.
Yeah,
she doesn't. She's going.
She goes for status. Yeah, and that actually it's
manipulates them, right?
Okay, but the other guy didn't have status. He was just a bomber, right? He was a lackey.
Yeah. Well, I don't think so. I think he's sent by Donovan. He's the Earth guy's number 2. So,
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, by definition, that would be
Keith says we're looking too critical.
Yeah.
Maybe we're spending too much time on it.
I think he's right. Yes.
Fair enough. I'd love to move. Let's move on. Thank you, Keith. That's great. Okay, so Frank, we do have this other segment where we kind of jump to the end on some of that, but Franklin does give this, big speech. Again, and I'm not sure it came across that well, to be honest with you. It seems like this big, it's supposed to be this big rousing thing, and you're putting it in Franklin, the doctor's mouth. And, he's kind of debating this alliance. And then we find out that, he kind of threw in the thing about not doing bombings to help out number 1, which she appreciated. Like, I'm not sure that, that if I was a leader, I would have been like, I don't need you, to help me handle my people here, but she liked it, I guess. And well, there we go. But the more substantive part that I would like to ask you guys about is this seems really high-handed from the Babylon 5 position here, doesn't it? It's like, yeah, we're the leaders, we're going to come in here and say, you're going to be part of this alliance, but we're in charge and you're going to do what we say. And they kind of did have the reaction of screw you. We don't want to be part of this. We want our independence. They're not aligned. Right. So what do you guys think of that whole setup and that they eventually went along with it?
Well, go ahead, Dean.
You sure? Okay. I had one big problem with this speech. I thought that the way it was delivered was okay. I think Babylon 5 saying, no, we're going to coordinate things. That's typically Sheridan. Sheridan wants to be in control. And Sheridan stepping up to we got lots of pockets of resistance. They've all got to come under one guidance to work together. And that kind of makes sense. I was happy with that, albeit that shows Sheridan's, he is the nexus still. If he turns one way, the whole galaxy turns with him. And I got no problems with that. I had one big problem with this whole speech. He talks about how at the start they're going after the man, not the position, right? Implying that Earth is still going to remain Earth, Mars is still going to be under Earth, and the rest of it. And you even get that from the people there, which is they're upset. This isn't about them becoming free and taking down Earth or getting free of Earth. And then at the very end, he promises them independence. Acting as an independent state from Earth. And it felt a little bit of a conflict on the delivery. On one hand, it's, we're going after the person, we're removing Clark, but Earth God's going to remain in place and we're not going any further than that. And then on the other hand, it's, but if you help us, we'll give you independence.
We'll recognize you.
Well, yeah, isn't that a weird, you're absolutely right, Dean. That number one, it's like, we're co-opting you to our crusade, not the other way around. We're not, and then they do the switch. I thought for a moment it was like, did Franklin just do that on his own accord? That he kind of tied Babylon 5 to that where they couldn't. But think of it the other way. It's like, well, so you're basically admitting that Babylon 5 is going to take over the power of EarthGov and have that power to grant you independence?
Yeah.
That
this just felt odd. Yeah,
this would be a propaganda coup, right? If Earth was to find out about this and have the evidence of this, would be genuine, right?
Yeah. But
Babylon 5 is independent right now. So if they acknowledge the independence of Mars, but
well, they did, didn't they do that originally?
Well, yeah, I think so. It's kind of like you said, it's awkward. What bugged me the most was he said, okay, so I've got this list of things, several things I'm going to point out. And first is blah. He never said second, third, fourth, or whatever. And that always drives me nuts when you start off like that. When you, it sounds like you're going to give us a list, and then you don't give us a list and you jump all over the place. Which he did, because I actually wrote number 1, and then I'm like, okay, which one is number 2? because he just
Yeah.
kind of meanders through the whole. Captain's willing to decide, not forgotten. Okay, because they brought up that Sheridan helped put down the Mars food riots.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a good reference there, I
And
thought.
and it was a good reference. The question is, was what he did good or considered good or bad? I kind of got the feeling it was
Bad.
bad, but
Yeah.
or that they view it as bad. But a riot is dangerous for everybody. So helping to quell the riots was not necessarily a
Well,
bad thing.
well, from the rebel standpoint, it probably is because they were probably behind it, right? It was rebelling, rioting against the authorities, which would be EarthGov.
Right.
So I don't think that was good at all. I don't think they did that. But this brings up another point, though. It's like and Dean, what you're saying is from our perspective, the audience, Babylon 5, yeah, it makes sense. Sheridan should be in charge of this. He's the guy that knows what's going on and way bigger player than these schmoes.
He's also military.
Right.
Yeah.
But from their standpoint, they don't even know much about the Shadow War, really. It's like, this is just Babylon 5. Who the hell is that? Why do we care about them? I mean, they just know that they were able to repel an Earth, attempt to take them over. But I'm not sure why they would be particularly impressed by anything Babylon 5 is bringing to them.
I think the most important factor that he presented, that Franklin presented, was presented very weakly. And that was that thing that was on one of your comrades, one of your colleagues, is something from the shadows that we've just fought. He didn't present it very forcefully. He should have led with that.
Yeah.
Hey, that thing that we took off of your buddy there? That shows this war that we just got finished fighting. This is part of that. And so yes, whether or not you realize you were part of it, that should have been he should have led with that, and then gone on to, yes, we will acknowledge Mars as an independence, their state of independence. We will back you up, and you and Proxima 3 and the other colonies. I do like how Marcus stepped up and pointed out that he is from one of the colonies as well, and points out the struggles that they went through with the corporations. Obviously, it's kind of anti-big megacorp, and how they, basically ruined their economy, ruined their planet, stripped it of this and that and the other, and kind of left them holding the bag, and while
Well, Jeff, before you go on, I just want to say that that's an excellent point you made about that they should have led. It would have been a reason to say, oh yeah, there's a way bigger picture here, and Babylon 5 knows way more about it than we do, so it makes sense for us to follow them. Yeah,
right. And if he's been infected, I can guarantee you there are other members of your group that have been, and certainly it's very possible that people in, he could have like leapt onto that and said, it's very likely people in the government have that too, So, and that's what we're fighting. It's this shadow remnants that we're trying to combat. They're part of the reason for this whole thing. It's not just one or the other. The shadows were trying to cause strife. We know that. That's their whole point. And now their children, if you will, they're the ones trying to become the masters, like the Droch. That's what they're doing. They are trying to disrupt the galaxy and become the masters now. So.
All right, Snob.
Yeah, 2 points. Well, first of all, I think Dean and Jeff both brought up good points about that stuff. I would just like to mention number one, how is Sheridan going to make sure that Mars is independent after this war unless he takes over as the president? Like, that is a very empty promise, and they should be smart enough to know that, wait a second, unless you're the president, how are you going to do that?
Well,
the second thing is
an indication that he's planning on being the dictator. It's like you're trading one for another. It's like that's a bad sign for sure.
And my main point is about Franklin's speech. I thought most of it was horrible. He came on way too strong. Like, you're going to follow our instructions and do what we say, and you gotta trust us. I mean, if I'm one of these Mars rebels, I'm gonna go, who the hell are you? You put down the food riots. We haven't heard anything from you. You're gonna come in here and tell us that, no, I got to do what you say. I'd say, no, F you. And that would put me off right away. And I'd be out. I mean, they did it the exact opposite way. Franklin should, Franklin and Sheridan should be coming in hat in hand and saying, hey, listen, I know we haven't helped you, but we've got these good ideas and we're going to do these great things and we're going to help you. You need to come with us. They have to be much more convincing. I couldn't believe when Franklin's going, yelling at them, saying, you got to do what we tell you and whatever. I'm surprised they didn't just shoot him right there on the spot and say, no, we don't have to listen to you. You're a government stooge, just like the ones we've been fighting for 6 months. Here's a bullet in the side of your head. Yeah. So, I mean, Jeff went over that a bit anyway, like with the whole, Marcus did a great job with that. They should have, the script should have been flipped the opposite way. Sheridan should come and say, hey, here's how we're going to help you. I'm sorry we've been ignoring you. This is what we're going to do for you now.
We've been fighting these things.
You've been doing a great job. We're going to help you. We're going to make it easier for you to do your job. That's how you convince them, not tell them, do what we say because we say so. I mean, that's just not good.
And he could have explained that. He could have been like, look, there's going to be times when you're going to get some directive that something is asked of you, and we need you to do it because there's a reason for it. Not just you should do this no matter what. It's like there isn't it may not make sense to you, but trust us. You need to be able to trust us that there is a reason for it.
That trust has to be built over. That's the kind of thing you say after a couple of times these things have happened, and you say, hey, remember that last time when I told you this? It worked out good. And that time I told you this, it worked out good. We know what we're doing. You should trust us this time. Yeah. That's the kind of thing. Yeah. Now, the whole, we're going to give you, we're going to free Mars after that. That's a great carrot. And that I don't mind them using that. That's a good idea. I'm not sure how they're going to do it. And the first thing I would do as a rebel leader say, well, how are you going to do that? Well, I don't believe, if I'm going to follow you because of this, you got to convince me that have the ability to do that. And right now I don't see it.
I agree with what you just said, but what Jeff said leads right into it. It's like, he just defeated, the Vorlons and the Shadow, to say, right. I understand that, you've been isolated and everything, but this is the guy that pulled off this win, and he can pull off the win that's going to benefit you as well. If we have your help,
what did you think about and I'm sure Madman loved this line, but what did you think about if I said I'm going to sprout wings and fly to New York, and then he said, well, if you say it, I'm going to think you're an idiot. I'm not going to believe it. But if Sheridan says it, I'm going to ask him to stop off and pick me up some bagels. Was that quirky?
That's just, that plays into the Masonic view of Sheridan. Right. And I didn't like that line. Marcus was underutilized in this entire episode. And the way to make this believable is the first thing Franklin talks about is Marcus being part of a Ranger network. And this network, if they agree to join with Sheridan, will become available to them for the smuggling of supplies, weapons, and food. So you're offering quid pro quo. And then you build on that. You talk about if we, if you follow our instructions and if we work together and we succeed and we remove Clark from power, then Sheridan promises that Babylon 5 will put their weight behind your independence and argue your independence. Instead,
I was going to say, Marcus should have done the first half of that speech, and he should have said all the things that make, hey, we are just like you. Yeah, I am from here, all that stuff. And then Franklin in the second half saying, here's what we want, after you've convinced them that, hey, we share something in common. The speech was just, way off for me.
It was forceful. It was, again, trying to build a strong delivery, and it just didn't work.
And Outpost is asking, was the Shadow War known to the Earth Alliance? To EarthGov, some of them, probably. Yes. But not to the people. No, that information was suppressed.
We know
ISN wasn't talking about it.
We know from last episode that Mars basically knows nothing about the Shadow War.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know what, Dean, you bring up an excellent point. We've already seen that the Rangers were operating on Mars. They're the ones that brought the information about what was that? Going way back in season 2, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
about the shadow vessel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
in
So
season
why
2.
why are there not
it was
more Rangers there embedded in Mars?
That's my point. Is they
Yeah.
were right, and why wouldn't they be? This is we already saw that they were. I don't remember. Again, it was really early, as I recall. It was when they killed the operative on Mars, and like the Ranger guy like got the mess. It was, I think it had to do with Lita, actually.
Yeah.
When Lita returned originally.
Yes, because it was when Lita returned to expose the sleeper agent.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a Ranger that was there operating, and so this whole storyline doesn't make a ton of sense. This is what the Rangers' primary function was, right? Is intelligence gathering, spies. They're the voice that's bringing news from the dark places, right? And they just dropped it so they could do this instead.
And Marcus is just the guard. Really, Marcus should probably be that they should recognize the fact that he's a Ranger. I'm sure some people know the Rangers by their little
why didn't he have contacts there?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So huge fail.
Yeah.
Just so they can get Steven some quality time with the lady.
and have him as a forceful character when
number one.
It should have been more Marcus, and he kind of represents Sheridan. So after they go, okay, Marcus talks to them, and they're like, all right, I see that you're one of us. I'm open to something. Let's hear what you have to say. And then Franklin's down. Look, here's what we're offering you, and here's what we want.
Yeah,
quid pro quo. Here's the deal. And they go, I am Sheridan's doctor. I'm a big dude there. I'm, this is true because it's me. I'm almost right next to him. I'm in the room with him. So that that convinces them that it's what they're being told is true.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else on this whole storyline? Hearing nothing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to Delenn then.
You didn't want to talk about the little...
I just asked if you had anything else to say.
I just figured I'm moving right along.
Right. I don't care to talk about it.
Okay.
I mean, you can't.
Outpost is spot on there.
Yeah, I was going to say Outpost got it right. Yeah, it's too late to make it.
It's too late.
It's trying too hard.
Yes, he's
a doctor.
In the fourth season out of 5, right?
He's not a warrior. He's not supposed to be. He's a doctor.
I mean, supposedly he had these on the Underground Railroad thing and all that.
Also contacts on Mars, right?
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So they had contacts. Where the hell are these contacts? I don't know.
Okay, so we've got the news that the Minbari aligned worlds, basically their protectorates, I guess, are being attacked, and the warrior cast who would normally be, stopping these kinds of things aren't doing it. And then they also mentioned attacks on Pakmara,
the Norsai.
The Norsai as well.
Norsai. That's the
one that's the one. And I think Sheridan had pointed out, the Pakmara have been encountering these as well. Yeah. So, but the Norsai were an agrarian people that the religious caste had promised to protect. So, and the warrior caste normally would have stepped up with the Grey Council, but with the Grey Council disbanded, nobody, it's kind of, it's up to Delenn to come to the...
Yeah, the Minbari are falling back into their old ways, which is working against each other. Yeah,
they're
prevalent
times.
Prevalent times, yeah. And that's pointed out pretty well, I guess, So
Delenn says he's going to do this, take some White Stars out there, which he takes 7 of them, as by my count. And, she has this brief discussion with Sheridan, and he's like, oh, don't do it. And she's like, I'm capable of doing this. Okay, great, go. She does. They go out there. They find Pakmara ship being attacked. And
did anybody find it odd Sheridan was Send Lanier instead?
Yeah.
That was the whole, it's dangerous, Send Lanier instead. And I found that line really Sheridan. Cringy. You're about duty and honor, and you Delenn, remain here safe with me, but you
don't leave me, my girlfriend.
Lanier.
Yeah, it's a good
point. Who will
point.
keep my bed warm at night?
Who's going to
I
watch
just,
me sleep?
yeah, him getting so upset about her going and sending Lear, I thought that was out of character. And
Yes.
Oh, big time.
Yes.
that
Yeah.
pulled him. That pulls his character down. He's the warrior. What the
Yeah.
heck is going on
Yeah.
here? No, don't leave me, baby. I love
And
you.
I
can't be
mean,
away from you.
her answer to it was good and presented
Mhm.
forcefully, but the way he presented it was weak.
Oh, he's diminished. I mean, she's enhanced by what she said, but he's diminished by what he said. They could have had changed the dialogue so he isn't diminished by talking
like,
to her, and
yeah.
she's still enhanced. I mean, it seemed.
Yeah. Look, I understand your, oh, he's like, man, I really wish we could send somebody else. That would have been better, more believable than. Does it have to be? Can't we send your jockey boy out for you? It's like, well, they did anyways because he was the second in charge on the ship, right? So, but I think the dialogue that they gave Sheridan at that point made Sheridan look weak.
Yeah.
And it unnecessarily so. He did not the dialogue that Delenn was given was strong. Don't forget who I am and what I can do.
Yeah, why do you think they're doing that? I mean, it's only between the two of them. So if he looks weak, it's not like, he diminishes his leadership to anyone else. Only the two of them know about it. But why make him look that way? Is it just trying to reinforce the fact that, oh, he really, really, really likes her?
Yes,
I don't know.
Not sure, unless it plays into their conversation at the very end where she says you have to, you've returned to your normal sort of self and you have to come to terms with what happened to you at Zahadum and all the changes. And maybe that's what they were trying to build into it. So it matches what happens at the end, but yeah, it doesn't work. No.
Do you want to talk about that now, Cam? That last bit, since Dean brought it up? So I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
So my question is, she says that, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing to say, but I haven't really. What changes has he been through since? What have we seen as the audience that is a big change that you would go, yeah, he's totally different from Zahadum. I don't really, maybe I'm missing it, but I don't really see what changes he's really had.
There's when the first 6 episodes when he's with Lorien, he's acting very differently. And one of the comments I made is after that, he seems to go back to his normal self, as in, pre-Zahadum Sheridan. And I'm wondering whether that was the subtle way of, whilst he had Lorien with him, he was coming to terms with the fact he's died, he's come back to life, he's got 20 years left. And then he's returning back to normal, watching ISN, getting angry, ranging the voice of the resistance, and going back to how he was before then, rather than coming to terms with the fact that he's got diminished life and
tick-tock.
Yeah, tick-tock. And that's the only thing I can think of. And this is Delenn saying, look, you need time alone. You've gone back to who you were. And I agree with that. Everything with Sheridan, he's gone back to who he was before Zahadum. And she's saying you need to have a think about it. You need to come to terms with it.
But she also points out that you need to understand that you gained destiny by going to Zahadum. And it's almost a little contradictory in that regard because you're not the same. Things are not the same. Garibaldi, she even points out, Mr. Garibaldi is not here. And that's maybe why your anger and stuff like that towards him, because you can't put things back. You can't put all the broken pieces back when you don't have all the pieces. And even if you did have all the pieces, it's never going to be the same. It's always going to be something different. And you have been changed, and you do have destiny, and you still haven't fulfilled all of your destiny yet. And I don't know. That's kind of
I agree with you. It's a bit of a muddled script, isn't it? It's a bit of a muddled delivery that doesn't seem to have. It's not giving us a clear indication of what they're saying to each other.
Yeah.
Well, I think this brings up kind of a point we've touched on many other times. It's like there seems to be like modes for the way that some characters act, like Jakar. It's like, first season kind of agitator mode, and then he's he's kind of has some revelations and he grows, but then he also like slides back into the other mode sometimes. And what you mentioned here was the same kind of thing with Sheridan, that it's like, he's kind of enlightened in some ways, but then he just falls back into like pre Zahadum mode.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just the way that JMS writes and thinks about the characters, but it seems like that happens a lot. That there's no clear arc. It's kind of like it just shifts between things rather than being sustainable development in some cases.
Yeah, the characters are written for the scene rather than the scene being written for the characters. So the characters become malleable depending on what's demanded of them of the scene. And we've seen that with Jakar. Jakar's probably the character with the most growth, consistent growth. But even then, there will be a scene where he drops back to pre-enlightened Jakar, the one being where he has to command the captain to go and help Sheridan.
Right.
And he's suddenly, the captain doesn't want to, and it's out of place. And I think that's just where they need the character to deliver something so the scene is impactful, rather than thinking the characters in the scene, how would they act and adapt the scene to that character.
Do you think the whole romance thing is what part of the problem of this? Because they keep on trying to weave the romance stuff in so much so that
I think the fact that they haven't, it's still not established. It's like they want to hover in this zone of tying the knot, instead of like, they're there now. This is a relationship. It's kind of always this, we're heading towards, the final state of our relationship, but not getting there. It's like, just,
that happens a lot in TV.
I mean, it's not like they're not bouncing back. It's like, oh no, something got in the way of them getting. It's not that kind of drama, but it is just kind of dragging. It's I don't know. It's become very uninteresting to me.
I'm surprised. Why don't they just get married already? Damn it!
Sorry, let me just jump in for a sec. Hey, thanks, Robert, for the $2 super chat. We really appreciate it. Helps with the show. I hope your bad news is not too bad, and you're able to deal with it.
Yeah, best wishes.
Yeah,
good luck, man. Sorry, go ahead, Kim.
Okay. All right. So let's get to the Drock thing a little more here. So the Pakmara ship.
You're not gonna give me.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say that I think you guys are, you're wondering. I mean, I think Jeff's making a good point about the whole. Is they're just trying to throw in the. We got to throw the romance thing in there and kind of warps the characters. I also wonder if JMS, if he had he's written all of these episodes. I don't know how much of how much help he got. I mean, maybe he just needs somebody that he can trust. I don't know if he has that or not. He can trust to go over his writing and say, hey, this doesn't quite make sense. This, someone that can edit him.
Harlan Ellison.
Was Harlan doing that?
Well, he was around. I don't know.
He was around. I just don't know. I mean, everything has got just his name on it, so you think it's all him. So I'm just curious. Maybe that might have helped. But I have no idea what that's behind the scenes were. But anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so they have the attack at the Pakmara, and then they go to try and respond. And then the traitor, I forget his name, the other Minbari religious caste guy.
Oh, yes, I got his name. It's Pharrell.
Pharrell? Okay.
Pharrell, yeah.
Yeah, so he's like, he pulls a gun on her and forces this interaction where the Drock ambassador comes on board, and he's kind of, this blurry, out of phase kind of looking thing, it was kind of unsettling, but it was also weird that it's just like he's just kind of walking around the ship and everybody's like looking at him, no escort, no, I mean, it's
they're just sort of like cringing away from him. Ooh, don't touch that guy, he's dirty.
Yeah, I liked.
A little strange.
It was, but I did like the fact that he seemed to unsettle people. That I like that part of it, but the fact that they didn't even try to have anything.
He should have been escorted.
Yeah. Right.
With an armed escort or something.
Yeah. And maybe if it's like, they tried to do that and he made it clear, it's like, no, that's not going to happen this way or something. And I don't know. It just could have been done a little better, I think. But
yeah, they
come through and they it's this whole deal. It's like, we just want these uninhabited worlds. Where have we heard this before? Kind of thing. And this kind of very strange proposal that we're going to use these aliens in the Mimbari xenophobic mindset. Oh, we're going to make this deal with these aliens to help us against the warrior caste. This seems ludicrous to me, as why any Mimbari would think that that's a good idea.
I mean, they tried to explain it. I don't think he
Yeah.
quite sold it.
No.
Because it was stupid.
Well,
you know what I'm saying? It's like, again, I don't know. Anyway, Delenn sees through it, right? They have this whole thing, and then she realizes, oh wait, they know who I am, and these are, puts two and two together.
because it was when Drock, or the emissary for Drock or whatever.
Yeah.
When he heard Pharrell call her Delenn, he stopped.
And he went, Delenn.
But
I had to
they're
put-
on
I
White
had to
Stars,
How
put
does he know who the hell Delenn is?
I know.
They're on
I
White
had to
Stars.
put subtitles on to get that, though. I don't know whether you lot had a problem. I couldn't understand whatever that emissary was saying. I had subtitles
it
on.
was
too.
tough.
I could understand it, but I still had to. I keep the subtitles on all the time so I could get how they spelled the name, at least in the caption. And yeah, I could hear him say Delenn, but I rewound that like 2 or 3 times and to try and get, and I'm like, okay.
But do they not know the difference between Minbari ships and White Stars? That we're clearly a Vorlon thing that all the shadow people are like, if we even touch it, we'll die.
Yeah.
It's like they wanted to just have everyone forget that these guys had anything to do with the shadows, right? Until they wanted to say, oh, these are those guys that came from Zahadum.
And they should have had a fear of being on a ship that
right.
was
This whole thing seemed very muddled and just, it's like, oh, I want to get from A to B and I don't care the path between makes any sense. And then, you guys feel free to discuss whatever. Anyway, they have the big fight, they attack them, they have this escape, and then they come back and have the big fight and take them out.
So what did they escape again? If they had the big, if they were to come back?
They used the skin dance, was it? Skin dance technique of the warrior caste, which was programmed into the AI. Their AI is incredible. They don't need the warrior caste because their AI can do everything the warrior caste.
That's right. If that plot armor,
it's like, oh, come on. To get the speed to be able to escape, but then Delenn wanted to make sure that they couldn't raid other ships. Now, this is one area where Delenn is living up to her character. It's like, okay, we're in a better position now to take the fight back to them. And we're going to do that because I don't want them attacking other ships out here. Well, and that's typically Delenn, and I like that, and you get that lovely montage of them attacking, and I thought all of that was great, but everything leading up to it felt forced, felt awkward. This whole, the village of Sakaar and the warrior caste going in and driving out all the religious caste, and then they died in the cold. And Jesus, how backward is Member?
I mean, we there's a line towards the end when Delenn comes back that we'll talk about soon.
Yeah, but they got flyers and stuff like that. So why didn't a transport ship just come pick them up?
They destroyed them all and blah blah blah.
Oh, jeez, it just
they wouldn't let them take their flyers.
Well, again, they're trying to artificially set up the Civil War thing, right? It's again, the Great Council was supposed to have they were supposed to be getting, tension between them, but this was pretty overt. Sorry. Trying to build backfill this idea that, oh yeah, there's always this hostility that's really bad behind the scenes.
Wasn't the leader that was killed on the line?
Dukat?
No, that wasn't before the Dukat. Dukat.
Right, the guy that they brought. They referenced in the early.
Yeah. When they brought the casket on board, and then his ashes were taken back. Delenn absconded with the ashes and stuff like that. That guy, right?
Yeah.
He was actually part of the religious caste. If I remember the history, am I wrong on that?
I don't recall.
He was religious caste that became a big warrior.
That was first season, right? Or no?
Yeah,
first season.
Yeah, that is going back.
I think that was first season because I think that's when we still had the commander of the ship of Babylon 5 on, and they were he was, the guy who became Balin. Um, you know, I was like, uh, okay. So there's people from the religious caste that are in command of
Yeah.
ships
No.
and stuff like that.
Again, I like. There's always been conflict between the religious and the warrior caste, always, and
Yeah.
they painted that out the way Naroon wanted to take charge, and Marcus stood against him, and stuff like this. They've painted it through many episodes, but it's this whole Sakaar thing. Again, it's a bit of dialogue that breaks the fourth wall because it's unbelievable. So they got driven from their village and they died out in the cold. What they, you're a highly technologically advanced race. You've got
Mhm.
flyers, you've got transports, you've got stuff. Now, if you turn around and said the warrior caste are keeping the secret because they fear the repercussions, but my village, sorry, the religious caste are keeping it secret because they're fearing repercussions, but my caste would killed in Sakaar. I'm one of the last survivors of my family. The warrior caste came in and slaughtered them. We're now killing each other. And that would have added
pointed
so
that
much
out,
more.
not as a
Yeah,
rumor. No, like, no,
exactly.
he
And,
should have come right up from the beginning that this is what happened.
yeah. And I've been to our leaders and our leaders refuse to do anything. I'm desperate, Delenn. These people say they will help us. And that would have added a lot more credence to the whole thing, a lot more empathy to
Except for the fact that they're attacking
Farah.
and
Yeah.
the
Apart from
other race that we hadn't heard of until now. It's
I know.
like
It's muddled again. It's muddled. The whole attacking other species, I think, was only done so Delenn had a reason to want to destroy them afterwards, and she still had that reason, which was and a reason to go out and meet them. They could have engineered another way of doing it, and it doesn't make sense that the Drach, who have fled Zachadum, are not trying to establish themselves. Why would they go around just killing other races at this point? They don't want to draw attention to themselves.
That's a great point. I'm glad you brought it up because they just defeated the Shadows, which are the big boys, right? And did all this stuff. And now we're supposed to be worried militarily, overt military action about their underlings. That doesn't make sense. It's exactly what you said is them being an infiltration, a thing that they're behind, they're sneaking around and they're doing stuff and causing all kinds of trouble. That you can't easily just go and blow up their capital ship because they're hiding. They're not making it easy on you, and they just made it easy on them. It's just so stupid. I hated it.
Wow, we keep on the number I had in my head.
Yes, exactly.
Thanks, Cam, and thanks, Dean, and
it's worse because seasons. I mean, season 1 had its rough places, but it had great episodes. Season 2 and 3 are absolutely superb, and now season 4, by contrast, it feels like you're going backwards. It feels like a lot of stuff that they put in as lore is being thrown out the window, and a lot of things that are happening are illogical and don't make sense.
We're back
to
hit and miss
unbalanced.
episodes.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, it's like back on its heels and struggling to tell the story at this point.
Yeah.
Snob, what do you think?
I don't think I had as much trouble with this this sequence of events as you guys did, but in order for me to I think you got Dean especially making great points here, but for me, in order to accept the whole Pharrell part and coming in, I have to assume that number one, Pharrell is a complete and utter idiot, and also that he is really, really, really pissed about the fact that his family has been killed and everything like that. But I have to twist myself around that in order to make this this believable. While any Minbari would say, okay, these guys, they look kind of sketchy, but what the heck, we can use them. So that's the first part. And as I said, I think you guys have brought up really
Minbari
strong
cannot kill
point.
Minbari. Well, but I can wound you.
Yeah, I can't kill you, but I can just leave you to die out in the cold. I mean, that's pretty. The other thing is, other big problem I had. I mean, I thought Delenn's response to this and stuff. If you forget all the other stuff, Delenn's response was good, and the way she was portrayed was good. She picks up on it right away, like you think you should. So that part is well done. But I did have a problem with the tactics. It was kind of a wave of the hand, and it's like, oh, we'll do skin dancing, and we'll do this and that, and then we'll defeat him. And you're like, what the heck is going on? Oh, this ship's flying. Okay, I'm just going to pretend that tactics don't mean anything, and yay, we won. So those were the two major problems I had with this whole sequence of events. But I did like Delin. That was a strong. Her response to what was going on, that was well done and very strong.
So there was a point in here about the Drock having shadow tech, and I did appreciate the very much the way that the Drock looked when he was walking on board with the kind of shimmering, kind of somewhat out of phase. I thought that was very reminiscent of some shadow technology, probably, or ancient shadow technology that they gave to them at some point. Oh, maybe they exist slightly out of phase. Who knows? But yeah, Pharrell has to open his mouth and give her call her by name, and that just like, and you see the look on her face. So she portrayed her part well in this. Very much. She's like came to the realization like right away as soon as he turned around and said, and
one mention about that, Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong. Right before that, he almost says Delin's name. He says, duh, and like she shuts him up or he gets cut off. And then he says it later on in the conversation.
Because I rewound it a couple of times. I didn't see it, but I thought I heard it, him start to. And it didn't show up in the captions that I could tell.
So she knows that, to keep her name quiet somehow.
But again, how is her name out there?
Well, why are Minbari calling her by her name anyway?
What about
Lanier had to be cajoled into doing it, and yet all these other, oh hey, Delin, what's up, kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't know. Clearly, the Minbari culture has shifted somewhat.
Outpost Nurse. Yes, they did take shadow technology. They're still not the shadows, though. They're no. It's like saying, the Minbari have Vorlon technology. They're not the Vorlons, though.
I'm a little more. Yeah, I'm a little more less critical about this point than you guys because we don't have any idea how much. They might have been have partial shadow tech already. Like we don't know the hierarchy of how important they were to the shadows or how they were or how big they were. So I can kind of hand wave this away, but I agree that we're not really, they just show up and they just do whatever. But we have no idea what they were.
This is my point, though, is they're an underling to the shadows. So just in terms of storytelling, hey, you beat the big bad guy, the top dog bad guy. Hey, but their little lieutenants are still around. Okay, who cares? Not that they're not dangerous or not, but they're lesser. They're clearly lesser, right? So it's this is what you're doing is it's the opposite of building to a crescendo and a climax of the story. It's like you're going the wrong direction. It just isn't strong storytelling.
Yeah, but in wars and that sort of thing, and Q I think is trying to get this idea across. After you might defeat the Germans, but there's still a bunch of people who are still fighting, and you got to do what the military usually calls mop up operations and clean this up. And there can be a lot of that. So this is kind of where they are. If we have no idea how powerful the Drac were before, we don't know what it would take to mop them up.
Okay, but
it's a big question. I mean, I agree.
But but the shadows were using, they were pressed for resources and things in this. We found out, they had less ships than before. It's not like they wouldn't be using their assets that they had, and the Drock being one of them, most likely. They are weaker. I mean, they're not the shadows.
No.
So, and Outpost Nerd, yes, they do have Vorlon technology. The White Stars have Vorlon technology. That has been established in the show very clearly.
That's mentioned. I think it was mentioned last season when they bring the White Star out. They mentioned that it has some self-repair aspects.
It's
somewhat. But they also have like self-learning, though. Their adaptive learning things
Yeah.
as well. And
If-
again,
if-
why the
if-
Shadows didn't
yeah.
want the White Star to be on Zahadum was because it did have Orlan technology very specifically.
If we return to the Drach, the problem with this episode is the Drach do not have an established identity at the end of this episode. You're still not too sure. And what he's trying to do, Jameis is trying to do, is set up the next mystery, the next big bad, as it were. And there were so many mistakes made. They were aggressive. I view the Drach as, the Prime Minister on Centauri has one of those eye things on him.
Yeah.
How do they get put on people? How do they get, so there's an infiltration or a group that work with the Shadows. And I believe it's the Drach. It makes sense.
Which is far more harrowing and dangerous, right? And they just showed, I'm sorry to interrupt your point.
No,
they just showed them blow the crap out of their big capital ship, right? Problem solved. They can do it. It wasn't even a dedicated effort.
No, you're not setting anything up here. You're showing them as weak, and instead they should have shown that this is it's a non-aggressive species that just wants to live peacefully on these abandoned in hospitable worlds. And you kind of leave it there. You get Delenn escaping them, but not returning to destroy them, and refusing to have this deal.
Build up.
Yeah. And the other thing is, you got them walking around, kind of phasing, and I love that effect. Why aren't their ships also built on that tech?
Yes.
And that would have been perfect. We can't lock onto them. We're shooting, and sometimes our beams are just going straight through their ships. What are we up against?
Yeah,
showing something different to the Shadows, but something alien and very,
well, that's, what, Dean, excellent point, because it could have been like, the Shadows were just brute force. They would just bowl you over, and these guys aren't that, but they're subtle, and you can't just use the same tactics. It's a different kind of enemy that goes hand in hand with their infiltration thing. Excellent point.
And Pharrell could have had a reason to take Delenn out. And then, and it could have just been Delenn on her one White Star. And then it's like, Delenn realizes, why are we here? And then he pulls the gun and look, I'm desperate, Delenn, for these reasons. You're going to these locations now. And that's where she meets up with them. The whole thing unfolds as it does. And she then manages to escape, with Lanier working with the AI to kind of get back. And then she flees back to her home, realizing that there are big problems afoot, with the warrior, with the religious caste, with the warrior caste, and with the potential civil war. And now there's Drach, who she's managed to escape from, but are establishing themselves on the Minbari borders. And that would have been a perfect ending, leaving you, the viewer, thinking, what's going on? Who are these allies of the Shadow? They're not. Their tech is very different. What
instead of just being a junior partner of the Shadow?
Yeah.
Pharrell could have had an eye thing on him. They could have.
He could have. That would have been the perfect way to do it, and why he was acting the way he was acting. There are so many things you could have done with this, and it feels wasted. It feels they had some scenes in mind, and everything was twisted to fit the scenes rather than telling a story.
Right. And it would be. I'm sorry. It would be building. It's like they got the Centauri. They got a guy from Mars Resistance. Now they have a Minbari. It's like, how far does this go?
Yeah. Right? Yeah. This would have been awesome. This would have been the next big mystery in Babylon 5, and this could have been fantastic.
I think the Drach are supposed to be to the Shadows what the Minbari were to the Vorlons.
Kind of. Yeah,
I kind of get that.
Yeah.
I kind of get
they
that.
seem to be their spy species, right? These are the guys that are going to go through all the spying, and they could have been made to be that. They're in my infiltration spy species. Is that
we saw the ones that were working on somebody at one point, didn't we?
Yeah.
Was that a Drach, or was that a different?
That's another.
No, that was something different.
So the ones that are putting the things on people, that would be this other race, but I kind of
their science species probably.
They're science. They're the ones that went around kidnapping species to examine them and to look at what they made. Remember the shippeteers, and you had the person brought on, and they said it looked like their face was melted with acid. I believe that was a Drach. Okay. You see the skull kind of visage, and then the middle bits melted in. So I think that's your first introduction to the Drach. But otherwise, this was such a wasted scene.
Yeah, they really should be the equivalent, because and it should have been a more we escaped by the skin of our teeth thing.
Yeah.
I do appreciate, there was a callback, and it was subtle, and I don't know if you guys caught this, but there was a callback to the episode where she went into the dreaming and revisited her situation, and she even pointed out we've been here before, you know what I mean? I've been in this position before, and I was rash to make a judgment call, and and that was nice. I don't think it worked for this particular set of events.
No, they've just witnessed a Pak'mara ship not being destroyed, because the ship is still there in the following scene, but all life being eliminated on that ship. And how, Delen's never going to negotiate with a species
the
that
Pak'mara
does that.
ship blew up.
No, it didn't. It was still there. It was still surrounded by the Drach ships, who then turned.
On fire. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can only assume they have some kind of death ray that kills life, or something like that, and leaves the ship intact.
I have to watch it a third time now,
because I thought it exploded. I even wrote in my notes, "Oh, the Pak'mara ship exploded," and then the next scene it showed their smaller ships around the Pak'mara ship, which was still intact but heavily damaged.
Yeah. Well, their life support systems were failing. So that could have just been it. I mean, we saw everything in flames, and or he did say life support was failing.
Yeah,
and so obviously it had failed. So at that point, they were.
But either way, Delen would never deal with a species that just guarded their way to be aggressive and take out.
That was out of character.
The minor
for
races.
her even to be willing to entertain it was kind of a, well, they're just trying.
Yeah.
Okay, Snob, anything else you got?
No, not on that. You guys covered it pretty well. Nothing to add.
Okay, then we've got the Delenn and Sheridan discussion at the end. We kind of talked about it a little bit, but anything else anyone wants to say about that? Rebuilding the Great Council and going back to Minbar and all that.
Well, I mean, clearly they're setting up a future episode. Because she's got to do to the Great Council and to Minbar what Sheridan did amongst all of the the different races, trying to get them together to fight. She's got to reorganize them and get them together because this is a thing. Bad effect for the Pak'mara.
Yeah,
I thought of that too. I was like, oh, that guy's on fire. Oh no.
Yeah. I was like, there's flames all around. Oh my god.
Yes, his food's getting warm. Terrible.
Wait, are they the carrion feeders?
Mm-hmm. They are. Yeah.
Remember
being up. They were positioned upwind of the Pak'mara. It's like there's no wind on Babylon 5. I'm trying to think. What were we talking about before we got rudely interrupted by chat?
I was.
We
were just talking about Delenn and Sheridan to talk about the future plans.
It's nice that we're seeing the fallout, and I noticed. I think Snob, you might have mentioned it several episodes ago, which is I wonder what the fallout on Minbar is going to be with the disbanding of the Grey Council, and we're now beginning to see that, and I like that. Yeah. This is where you see the consequences, and Valen couldn't have predicted this because Valen didn't witness it. He went back before the fallout of breaking the council was realized, and everything we've seen. We know Naroon. He's a powerful person within the warrior caste, so it would be great to see him back in it again. I'm looking forward to seeing what Delenn goes back to, and all of the kind of breakdown in the civil war in Minbari. That kind of makes sense to me. The Grey Council was set up for a reason and was to keep the castes balanced, and that has now been removed, so the castes are against each other and in imbalance. So it's the only redeeming thing I've got in this episode is, that kind of lead into what's happening on Minbar and answering some of the questions and some of the looking at the fallout from the disbanding of the Grey Council I like.
Yeah, and I think that's obvious, something that JM has had written in for some time, because I was, I was just thinking about this, and wouldn't do we need, how many civil wars do we need? Maybe it would have been, if better if the Minbari or whoever are dealing with the Drakh and their ability to infiltrate that we weren't aware of and can't detect, or something to that effect. But I mean, I think you're right. He's been setting he's been setting this Minbari civil war up for a couple seasons ago. So I'm not surprised that
it would certainly be very, very more plausible to think that the type of events that have been perpetrated on Minbar against Pharaoh's his town or his home, right? Would have been orchestrated by, under control of one of these creatures. That would certainly make a lot more sense if they've infiltrated the warrior caste. And that would certainly give a much more plausible explanation of they found a way to kill Minbari without a Minbari actually killing a Minbari directly.
It's been 1,000 years and no Minbari has ever killed a Minbari, but now I'm kind of pissed.
Except in that battle, that battle. Remember when Marcus stepped up into the challenge? I think we mentioned it earlier. Wasn't that a battle to the death? Supposed to be?
It was supposed to be, yeah.
So no Minbari has ever killed another Minbari, except that we've got this one ceremony, right? It's like an exception to the rule. So
they never lie. Except they lie. They never kill each other. Except they kill each other. Yeah, it's a whole fraud society. They suck.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, well, they
got a lot of rituals.
Caste systems never work, anyways. I mean, they're always unfair to someone.
Yeah.
I don't know, Dean. Your caste system's working out okay? No.
My caste system, where I'm
in England.
Sorry.
In England.
In England, oh god. No.
Wait, do we have caste in England now?
It's the English, it's the Canadians, it's the Australians,
it's the Welsh, the Scottish,
Welshies,
the Irish. Right. Yes.
There you go.
We call them clans. Clans. They're clans, not castes. Clans.
Clans.
Derailing the conversation a bit. Sorry, where were you?
That's it. Unless anyone has anything else to say about Sheridan and Delen's boring relationship, then we can go on to the end thoughts, I guess, or trivia.
Well, I mean, I do like how they're building up towards the when Delen gets back, if with their little thing, she walks in and she's like, and she points out, going back to what I meant was kind of referring to earlier about, Minbari has cities that have existed for centuries and millennia and have gone unchanged. I'm gone for 3 days and come back and you've like rearranged everything,
Yeah.
Because now apparently this whole set's complete, right? And now all the thing, and they've got the new Babylon 5 logo up there on the, with the sword going through the 5 and all that. And I seem to recall JMS talking about that logo in one of his one of the where he talks over a video or an episode. He kind of mentioned about some of the different logos that they've got this giant Babylon 5 with the sword through it and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, I get it. He's been busy. He's motivated. Maybe he's found his mojo, but now she's like, I got business to take care of back home. And you need to put your mind in the right place at this point. And all I'm doing is distracting you. And all you're doing is distracting me. And clearly we need to go and take care of our business before, we can consummate our relationship officially, however you want to call it. Whatever ceremony that one is, number 79 or 82 or 349, whatever.
Does anybody have anything about that? Like Delen's little speech at the end? Humans are dangerous.
That was awkward.
They go in communities and stuff. Is that? She seems to be always telling.
No. I made a note on that. Thank you for reminding me.
She's always telling Sheridan. She's always like telling him what to do, and
I thought the language used was actually quite. I'm just finding it on my notes, which was humans form communities, and from that humans form communities that are diverse, and from that diversity is strength. And it kind of, I
It's
don't
the
know whether,
opposite of
yeah,
what
no,
Jim
but
Murray does.
it is the opposite, but it's more the, humans form communities, correct, but their communities are typically monocultural. Yeah, you have to force a diverse community, and it's natural. We want to gravitate. So we got areas in the UK where it is predominantly one race or another because they just like living with each other, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I found the whole of what Delenn said there quite quite opposite to what naturally happens.
Yeah.
But it was more the language. It was the, diversity of strength kind of language that I kind of, I was a bit taken with. So I found Delenn's speech actually quite odd. And saying humans are dangerous because they form communities. Well, communities are formed on member as well, but their community is even more insular than a human community, and maybe that's the point she was trying to bring across.
Yeah, I think so. I think like where you're talking about, like this town was basically the religious caste, the one that was wiped out, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and they're doing it based on caste. We people in neighborhoods tend to group together with other people of our.
It's why you get a little Italy in a town, and little China,
Well,
and little this and little that.
yes.
Because it's just natural, and we might intermingle. Then the communities will intermingle with each other, but communities typically form around a monoculture.
Yeah, and I mean that's, I think human nature is people try to hang out with people that just like nerds. Now nerds, we hang out with other nerds. We relate on a nerd level, and we don't necessarily, it's not based on anything racial or what sex somebody is or what their politics is. Shouldn't be politics. But we have a groups always have some core thing that they share in common. But yeah, you do still, you have the bad part of town. Yeah. And it doesn't matter, and it could be black, white, whatever. Whatever. You could have an area that's just notoriously overrun with gangs of any.
Yeah, there's reasons. Birds of feather flock together is a saying.
Rich
because
people
it's
always end up
natural
together.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, you're affluent. Always sit there. Those nice, gated communities. And all that stuff. And with multi-million-dollar homes. And stuff like that. They're not. It's not like they're out living with next door to somebody who's got a double wide.
Yeah, and nothing that I've seen in Babylon 5 indicates that has changed much, if at all.
It really doesn't. Yeah.
No. So I found that all a little bit odd that language was used.
Do you think it's maybe hopeful optimism? For the
No,
future,
I think it was foreshadowing. I think JMS was beginning to understand the Hollywood way. But that's a different conversation.
Sure.
Okay. Why don't we move on to now we talked a lot about this already, so I don't think we need to rehash the things we've already mentioned. But is there anything anybody wants to quarterback? Maybe something that we didn't talk about so far.
Oh man.
Maybe you don't have anything. Maybe not.
I just wanted to touch back on the whole, why the hell didn't they start doing the Voice of the Resistance sooner? I mean, it would have made sense for them just to shift into that and been giving updates for Christ's sake. Why were they not giving updates? Why? That's why Mars is in the dark and Proxima 3 is in the dark and all these other, they're in the dark because we're not telling anybody anything, and we should have been the whole time telling people about what's going on with the war.
Well, I mean, it seems that Sheridan doesn't know anything about winning hearts and minds. That's for sure.
Yeah,
he's never taken. He's just a straight military officer. He's never taken any low intensity conflict type stuff.
Well, which conflicts with his setup because he's a son of a diplomat, and that's what he's supposed to.
Yeah, it does. It does.
You think he should know more about that, eh? Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't really have anything other than what we already talked about.
Yeah.
It's same here. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we covered most of it. Let me just take a quick look over my notes. I don't think there's any. We spent a lot of time hitting on the things we probably would have changed.
Yeah.
On the thing. All right.
Kind of goes that way sometimes.
Okay. We'll skip that then. If we've already done it, that's good. All right, let's go back to I guess we need to do go on to final. Did we miss any points that anybody wants to talk about? If not, we'll go right to final thoughts.
Yeah, I'll check my notes real quick, but Steven, sorry, Cam. cringe, and he's back to playing with his fidget stick. He started off playing with his fidget stick, and he's playing it with the fidget stick at the end. I think we covered everything.
It's okay not to have anything. All right, final thoughts. Let's start with Jeff and then Dean.
Oh. Well, overall, I mean, it wasn't a horrible episode. I don't think it was supposed to be a filler episode. I just don't think it was terribly great. I think I'm going to give this one, and this hurts. I think I'm going to give it like a 6 3/4. I was leaning towards a 7, but it's not quite 7 material. There was some cringy elements in it, and it really could have been better. So yeah, 6.75 I think is it's not quite there. It needed some polish. The dialogue needed some polish. There should have been some things that were cut. They could have been reworded. I don't think the number one came off as being as forceful and as she should have been. I don't think the way that the presentation given by the doctor and Marcus, I think it should have been reworked, much like Dean said. I think it would have been better. The whole issue with Delenn dealing with for one Farrell, and then later on, why is she even entertaining having this guy on her ship when they literally witnessed them kill the crew of a ship from somebody that are if not allies, at least they're neutral towards, and so 6 3/4. That's it. That's all I can give it.
Are you sure not like 6 9/16 or
Yeah, I know.
23s, 57s?
6.75. Okay.
All right, Dean.
This I understand what was trying to be achieved through this episode, and I know the forwarding of certain arcs, but I just feel the way it was done, the script, the delivery of that script was a letdown. I'm not blaming the actors, actresses in this. They work with what they're given. I think the speech to establish number one as being forceful would have worked better for a male character rather than a female character, and something else should have been done for the female character to shine in her way, because it was a very forceful. You could almost see someone like holding the person up to the wall and delivering it with, and that isn't number one. Number one is, you should have come across very differently in that speech. It's all of this that lets down a potentially great episode. The introduction of the Drach should have been far more impactful, and it shouldn't have ended with the destruction of their mothership, which shows them as being weak. It should have ended up with Delenn fleeing and showing them as being strong and mysterious. So many missed opportunities. And given how strong previous episodes and seasons have been, it feels like the rocky start to season 4 continues with this episode. I'm going to be quite cruel here, and I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10.
Wow.
It's not the best episode by a long shot. There is some great attempts at storytelling that are let down by poor script and poor decisions on how characters should act, and it feels like characters were put more in We're told to act to a scene rather than the scene responding to how the characters should naturally be. And Sheridan's constant, watching ISN and getting irked by it and stuff, that's just so tiresome. And that doesn't feel like Sheridan. He's a man of action, and that felt odd. Him turning around and saying "send Lanier" felt odd. There's too many small things that let down this episode. So I'm going to stick with my 5 out of 10. It's a disappointing episode. I do hope they start to improve.
To quote Madman, by the way, boo, boo.
He can boo all he wants.
All right. Dean, tomorrow Jeff will show up at your door to take away your Babylon 5 fan card.
Oh, thank you.
Cam.
I actually had written down, I usually don't do this, but in my notes I wrote down 7+ to start with. And I was wrong. Going through this discussion, and this has been happening more and more lately. Things aren't holding up, and so I'm going to say this, comes in as maybe a 6.5. That's maybe a little generous. Some of the things I liked in that, it seemed to be setting up that they're going somewhere with the Minbari Civil War, and I did like Delen's portrayal in some ways, but the underlying plot just isn't very strong. It's not holding water, I guess. And the Mars stuff, it's just, these other episodes where I was able to, say, oh, but the Centauri Prime stuff really held it up for me. It's like we've got a weak thing and then a weaker thing, kind of arrangement. And so I didn't go as low as Dean, but I can't really blame him
You
either.
went lower than me, so
Yeah, so it's the show is off track. I don't remember in season 4. I don't remember having these bad feelings about it, but looking at it now, 30 years later, it's getting hard to get through these. To be honest with you, it's really not that fun. I don't know. I can't explain it, but I'm not enjoying it right now.
Okay, let me ask. Let me go back to Dean because Dean wasn't here last week. This episode versus last week's episode, is this better or this week better or worse than last week's episode?
Last week was Racing Mars, wasn't it?
Racing Mars, yeah.
Maybe
I'm putting you on the spot too much.
Oh God, do you know what? The whole Mars thing irritates me. It really does, because they could have done it so much better. They didn't. They underutilized Marcus. The whole thing with the one guy with the sweating and with the eye on him, it doesn't make sense, because who put it there? How did they do it? What's behind it? It feels like the writers, and I know JMS does the writing, it feels like he's a little bit lost at this point. He's been forced to compress his vision into one season, and it's showing. He's having to make cuts. He's lost his way. He's having to make sacrifices of characters to fit the scenes that need to be done to move things at a pace. And I would potentially put last week's episode around about the same as this, potentially higher. I think there were a couple of redeeming features, but not much. I'm like Cam said, when I first watched this, I wasn't impressed with season 4, and this is going back into was it late 90s or early 2000s this came out?
Yeah,
late
97,
90s.
97.
Yeah, so I wasn't impressed, but that said, I watched one of the movies before season 4, and that had an impact. And season 4 is a tough season, but I do know it gets better, and I'm looking forward to that. There's some cracking episodes coming up. So
What did I give last week's? A 7, I think.
You gave it a 7.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I did. And so this is like you said, marginally better for me was last week's episode.
Yeah.
This one was just kind of like, and there, I think Delenn was the shining delivery of a lot of the points in this episode.
Yeah.
Even with some of the rough dialogue she was given, I think she gave the best delivery out of all the other.
Yeah. All I can say is you take Jakar and Londo out of these episodes, and they're not great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was curious about that because I was generally thinking that things were going to get a little bit better after racing. Like there's an upward arc, but now looking at this episode, I'll just say. So I was thinking about this episode 6.57, but you guys pointed out some things that I didn't catch during the my initial viewing, and hey, yeah, that is a bit of a problem. In addition to the other problems I saw. So I'm going to go with a 6.5. And I think maybe that's a bit generous as well. But last week, I think I gave a 6.5 or a 7. And I'm not sure if this is better or not. I was assuming we're getting a little bit better, which is why I asked Dean that question, and he wasn't here last week. But I'm not sure that this is, are we on an upward arc? Is it flat right now?
God, I hope so.
I guess we'll have to wait till next week in the next couple episodes to see for sure. But yeah, the 6.5 I'll give this one, and again, I think that might be a little generous, but
that would probably I based on what I gave it and what Dean gave it, I guess that would average out to what, about a 6?
Yeah, about a 6.
3, 6, 2, something.
Let's not get into fractions.
Yeah. Well, I went 3/4, so
you did, but yes, I think it's around about a 6 1/4.
Who knows, right?
If you take averages, yeah.
She was a miracle actress, and I think she is the shining point of this particular episode.
She was the consistent character.
Yes,
and,
I would agree.
Most like Lynn. Yeah,
she's the one that pulled it from a 4, my initial 4, to a 5. Because her character was strong, forceful. She showed how a female character can deliver great lines. But then she had a good script to support her on that.
I mean, and don't get me wrong, number 1 is pretty hot in a weird kind of way. She's kind of got that.
No, I would agree that Delynn saved this. She's the redeeming feature of this episode.
She did, really. Yeah. It probably would have been a 5 for me without Delynn. So
all right, let's go to trivia and finish us off here real quick. Okay, trivia questions for this episode. Answers next week. Who gets a stern talking to by number 1? We mentioned that person's name. What is the name of the hotel where there is an explosion? We did not mention that, but hey, it's easy to find out. Who brings Delynn to meet an alien race? What is the name of the multi-species language referred to in the episode? That's kind of a throwaway line.
We didn't.
You got to remember that. And who does Franklin sleep with? And I don't mean a teddy bear. Okay. All those questions and more next week on the show when we do what is the next episode. My goodness, I have it on the tip of my tongue. It is it no,
this was Lines of Communication,
episode,
right?
Episode 12 is going to be
conflicts of interest.
Lines of no, that's today's. What's 12?
Conflicts of interest.
Conflicts of interest. Yeah. And then it's rumors, bargains, and lies.
Oh, well.
All right.
I mean, I think we're gonna build on this. Some of the stuff that we've seen presented in this episode builds next week. So,
yeah, let's hope things are gonna get a little bit interesting. Okay, so what do we have going on, real quick, Jeff?
This Sunday
channel.
Yeah, Sunday.
Quick.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Sunday. We're gonna have Jeremy Farkas and Nick. I don't know Nick's last name. From Trollord Games are gonna join us, and we might do a one-off episode. There's a Kickstarter going on. I've been talking to the guy about trying to get him on, and trying to see if we can get Dean to get him on his show too. It's currently kicked off. It's one of those new trendy things that they're not doing a full 30-day Kickstarter, so it only has like 24 days left or 23 days left. Anyway.
Okay, and let me remind people that Jason couldn't make it tonight. Live from the bunker, his show. I'm not sure if he's doing a show tomorrow. I think he has one scheduled this week. He had some personal family problems. Mindy, I think, injured herself and had to go into at least to the emergency room for a little bit. So I'm not sure what his schedule is like. I think he has. Does he have? Anyone know? Does he have a show scheduled for tomorrow?
He's supposed to have Paul Garabedian on.
Paul DeGarabedian on. If not, I'm sure this week. So check out his channel. Like, subscribe, put the bell on, and you'll find out when he's going to talk to him. It's always good when he talks to Paul. Dean, what do you got coming up?
We've got so we did 2 indie game spotlights on the weekend. So we got one coming out tomorrow. We will be updating this sheet because Destiny's Dispatch, unfortunately, Vicky's been a bit ill, so we've had to cancel the last 2, but we should be back on next Tuesday. And then as we head into September, so starting kind of next Monday, we're starting to do our indie spotlights as a live stream. We're confident enough now to do that. So that'll be on Mondays at 8 p.m. GMT. It seemed to work well with Professor DM, it just getting chat involved in looking at the indie game and being able to ask questions is great. So that's us at the moment. We're just very busy doing a reworking of the flow of our first level taster rules, the main book on Untold Destiny, and then that's going to go out, and we're getting ready for our crowdfunding with the big decision: do we go back a kit or Kickstarter? We thought it was going to be back a kit, but we're hitting quite a few issues at the moment. So,
I'm curious to hear offline what those are, because as a
yeah,
absolutely. I'll tell you as a
You
not as a creator, but as somebody who who does a lot of backings, I much prefer backer kit.
right.
So,
And thanks for coming by, Dean. We appreciate you. Pretty busy.
Oh, you're welcome.
All that stuff ready. We appreciate you coming on.
I do love these conversations and bringing the whole tone down and getting all your scores down into the ground. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. You do a good job at that.
Pressing the rest
like
of us.
tick, 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 tick.
Okay, and of course we got Q2 Cast. Check out his channel. He's got his he's going to be taking a little hiatus for a couple weeks for his Tuesday show. We're still going to do the Tuesday show on my channel, but it's going to be just looking at the numbers of the board and what's up. What he's the score of the score, how much we're making in money for people are making in money on the movie
Office.
The box office, yeah.
Receipts, yeah.
He's messaging me. He wants me to bring him on. All right, let me just
and don't forget,
bring him in real quick.
Wow, really? You just leave me in the background? Yes, we're doing the 4 p.m. Eastern Tuesday box office. Did a dinosaur movie able to beat out Spider-Man and the Odyssey? We'll find that out. Free tier wars has started on Man with the Show. Basically, all the streaming sites are now fighting, jockeying positions to give a free tier. 2B TV's entering into their 3rd wave in September of Cartoon Network cartoons. In fact, the anniversary is coming up for Adult Swim. We got a video on that as well. Also bringing up, be sure everybody out there you're watching, subscribe to all these channels. A lot of these channels are under 1,000 subscribes and watch hours.
YouTube is messing with us again.
YouTube has raised the bar again. To, help support these people the best way you can by subscribing, watching their content, watch their back catalog. One thing on my channel, my viewers watch the back catalog. That's why my hours are where they are now. Watch their back catalog, help them to get there, because basically, we have until late January before February kicks in, and they double the amounts that needed to monetize. So,
all right,
hit it right there. Hit it right now before you go.
All right. And I'll mention, of course, Now Post Nerd. Check out his channel. We sometimes see him on the show. He's a guest panelist on occasion, and he's talking about lately. He did a couple of Lego streams, nice chill Lego streams where he builds some Lego. If you're interested in that, and other stuff too, go check it out. And of course, this channel we have 2 shows: the Top Lofty Lounge and this Babylon 5 show. This Sunday on the Top Lofty Lounge, it's movie night, and we're going to be talking about the Dark Crystal. So.
Nice.
Watch the movie on YouTube for free, and then join us as we talk about it. And of course, we occasionally have a pop-up snob at various times where we talk about whatever. Lately,
Check
been
out the
doing a
one
lot
from
of,
today. That was pretty good.
Lately, we've been doing a lot of movie trailers. So yeah, check that out.
Ebenezer was an interesting one because I was check it out. Check it out.
And
It
check
is.
out Violent
Okay.
Night too.
Mm.
Yeah. So
All right. Thanks, everybody. That's it for the show. We will see you next time. Good night.
goodbye.
Good night.